Research says that 90% of the people who start out in full-time ministry will not finish in full-time ministry. Only 10%. I've known that statistic. I read that research a number of years ago, and I've always been determined that I would finish in ministry. I've been doing this now for over 40 years. But this year in 2023, I had serious doubts that I would finish. In fact, I really was trying to find a way to get out. There's been a lot of good things that have happened in 2023, but over the last few years, there were a lot of contributing factors to the things that I've walked through recently. A lot of people don't want to hear that their pastor struggles. And to be honest with you, I'm a little uncomfortable talking about it. The last few years in ministry have been some of the most challenging. 2020, we all know what happened there with the pandemic, but there were other contributing factors, and it was really challenging as a pastor to lead a church and lead a staff through the pandemic. But not only that, we were in the middle of an election season. There was a lot of division, there were a lot of opinions, there was a lot of strife going on at that time. There were other things that were happening as well, both in my personal life and in ministry. A lot of challenges with different transitions and losses and staff and all of that. All of those things contributed to some of the things that I have battled this year in 2023. In 2022, a monumental thing happened when Life Ride was born, and I began training for that. And there was 9 months of training. Things at the church didn't stop. I couldn't just put all of that on hold, so I was juggling a lot of things that were taking place at the church with Life Ride coming up, the planning that went into that, the training that went into that, along with all of the personal things of being a husband and a dad and a grandfather. So there were many things that were happening there, and when you take on an issue like abortion, and Life Ride was centered around partnering with Love Life and really trying to bring an end to the abortion crisis in America, there's a spirit of Molech that's attached to that, and there consequently is enormous warfare. And I began to experience the warfare while I was training at a level that I don't think I've ever experienced before. We battled through that, and the excitement for me was building as May the 4th approached, when Life Ride would begin. And so it started, and we were very excited about that. But to be honest, I was terrified at the same time, because I didn't know if I could make it from coast to coast. I'd done everything I could to prepare for it, but I didn't know what to expect. I knew there would be unexpected challenges. I knew that it would be physically demanding. What I didn't realize was that the emotional and the mental side would be as challenging as the physical side. So as Life Ride began, the challenges increased, and with it, the warfare increased. You guys as a church were amazing. Our staff was amazing. I had a lot of support, and we made it across the country. After Life Ride ended, my body experienced a huge endorphin crash. The endorphins had built up for those really 49 days, 41 days on the bike, 49 days from start to finish of Life Ride, ended on June 21st. And people had told me that would happen, but nobody told me what to do about that. And the result was that emotionally, physically, and mentally, I just crashed. Everything came to a screeching halt. Life Ride ended, and I didn't know what to do. What complicated matters was that 8 days after Life Ride ended, unexpectedly, my mother went to heaven. My mother is one of my heroes. I talk to her all the time. She was in my corner, and I knew that she was a confidant, somebody that I could talk to about anything, that I could trust. And all of a sudden, she was gone. those things, all of those things combined, just sent me into a spiral. I don't know that I was clinically depressed, but my guess is that I was. I just went into a dark hole. I went into a dark place, and normally, I've battled things like this through 40 years of ministry, and you know, I could kind of get out of it. I could find a way to get out of it through the Lord's help in the past. I've had to do that many times. But for some reason, this time I just couldn't dig out of it. In fact, I felt like I was just spiraling more and more into this dark hole in this dark place. And I just wanted to find a way out. And when I say that, I don't mean suicide. I mean just find a way out of ministry, find a way out of doing what I was doing. I know there were people around me that knew that I wasn't in a great place, but I don't think anybody knew what to do. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to tell them. But one of the things that I've always said is that gratitude is a game changer. I've always tried to focus on the positive. Even in the darkest seasons of my life, even in the most challenging times, I've tried to focus on the positive. And over these last several months, I've tried to do that very thing. While I was training for Life Ride and while I was on the ride, there was a particular song that I played in my earbuds over and over. And it was the song Gratitude. That song meant so much to me, and it allowed me to have these great times of worship while I was on the bike, and even afterwards, when I was in this place where my feet were in the miry clay, that I would listen to that song and really try to just lift my spirit towards the things of God and focus on all the good things that God has done. You know, over the last month or so, I really began to feel life coming back in. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what happened, but maybe because I intentionally kept trying to stay focused on the goodness of God, life began to surge back inside of me again. I don't think I'm out of it completely. I know the Lord is lifting me out of the miry clay. But one of the things that I can say is that in spite of the challenges, not just this year, but in the years past, I can say without question, God has been good. And I'm so thankful for His goodness. I'm so thankful for His faithfulness. And I'm so thankful that no matter how much the enemy comes after us, no matter how dark the season may be, that God never leaves us, He never forsakes us, and that He has a way better than anything or anybody of lifting us out of a dark place and setting our feet on a rock once again. Here at the end, on the final day of 2023, I can say, God has been good, and my heart is filled with gratitude.